Now, when we look at the strategies for streamlining communication within M365 ecosystem, people get confused as to where Viva sits within the ecosystem, and also when to use the right container at the appropriate time. Now, a simple strategy for that is when you're working in a draft state, until you're ready to share, you want to move that, once you're ready to share, into a collaboration space within SharePoint, within Teams, or within Viva. Myself, I don't like to share too often or too early. I have a fear that my work isn't quite good enough. So before I'm willing to share with a broader team, not that I'm a perfectionist, I think it's something we all suffer from. I typically work in a draft state until I'm ready to share, until I'm ready to go through those collaboration efforts within our team site. And then from there, once we have quorum and everybody agrees on the content that is produced, whether that is within the Office stack or within some other kind of tool, we're going to look to basically have quorum and agreement that that is ready to share within a department site or a team site or even the intranet. We also want to make sure that we have strong information management policies that are associated at this level. Most of the data within OneDrive and a team site is going to be somewhat transitory. There are still going to be information management policies that are associated with that around retention and disposition, but it is considered to be transitory until it hits this location within the department site. And that's where the governance model, the typical pyramid of when you're producing your work, you're working at the bottom level of the pyramid. And as you move up through your team sites, your department sites, your business units, your branches, your divisions, and finally the organization, this diagram basically highlights that pyramid model. When content hits your intranet or your department site, you want to make sure that you have solid governance principles around that. Now, when we look at implementing effective collaboration and practices, we want to make sure that we're reflecting the diverse needs and preferences of your users for continuous improvement. Now, some of the common experiences that Atlantis has had align with these questions. These are some of the questions we'll typically look to ask with our stakeholders who are looking for enhanced integration capabilities. We want to collect information from our users so that when we look at integrating with other productivity tools that they are using, such as CRM platforms or project management tools or industry-specific application, that we're providing enhanced capabilities. How do we do that? We do that through interaction and through surveys and through asking questions. We'll typically use forms and initiation surveys or baseline surveys that provide us with KPIs so that we've got something to track for that improvement. What that does is it allows us to measure current satisfaction for the utilization of a particular product within the ecosystem, in this instance, Teams. When we conduct these user surveys, we're basically targeting key areas: ease of use, quality of video and audio calls, making sure that we've got effective collaboration tools available for file sharing and chat, making sure that we have the ability to integrate with other software and tools, and that the overall satisfaction with Teams is measured. We can do this through focus groups. We can do this with data itself as well through usage analytics, gathering usage patterns, active users, frequency of use, making sure that any of the new features that we roll out are providing user engagement and satisfaction around that particular feature. We also want to make sure that we're able to track any support tickets that are required. If users have frequent issues or complaints, that can indicate some areas of user dissatisfaction. We also want to have one-on-one interviews, perhaps, and conduct interviews with a selection of different personas, roles, or users from different departments so that we can provide insights and adjustments for tailored individual user experiences. Net promoter scores are a great way to collect that information really quickly. We can include a net promoter score survey to gauge the likelihood of users recommending the use of Teams to other departments or individuals. This can be a strong indicator of overall satisfaction. We also use something called SUS. Typically in post-implementation, the system usability scale provides the ability for us to understand how well and what is the probability of this application being adopted throughout the various business units, branches, and divisions within the municipality. Finally, we want to provide users with a voice. So we'll use departmental feedback sessions to understand how Microsoft Teams, the M365 ecosystem, is currently meeting their needs. And then we make sure that we follow up on that feedback. Any issues that we've identified are being addressed or have been addressed, and we give examples, strong examples of how that's impacted user satisfaction via these follow-up surveys. Now, when we look at the collection of this data, we'll typically use that to provide areas of strength and areas that are needing improvement, something I'll refer to as an OFI, an opportunity for improvement. We do this via gap analysis, and we include that in all of our solution design documentation as well. Now, I'll just give a moment. There's a lot going on this slide, and I'll just give everybody a moment to just kind of adjust to what's going on in the slide. And then I'm going to flip to a tool and just kind of show what a typical engagement would look like. So on the left here, we have a Teams application implementation. Now, this process model is really around the requesting and approval of a team. It's one of the first areas that we want to approach for having a strong governance model. And you can see basically that goes through the request of a team, whether they're looking to build a team from scratch, whether there are templates that are already in existence. And we'll go through that application shortly. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see our internal processes. These are specific to a Viva Engage implementation. But as you can see, a lot of these processes and process dependencies, the activities and tasks that you see on the right-hand side, have already been detailed by us. We've got clear activities, tasks, and user roles that are associated with that implementation. That basically ensures consistency for your rollout. Now, just to give an idea, because pictures are worth thousands of words, I'm actually going to showcase what that actually looks like. All of our projects utilize what I'll call process management, a process management tool, and we'll go through project initiation, clarification, discovery, design, your typical project management steps. But post-design, we'll always have a stage gate to make sure that you're comfortable and confident with the recommendations that we're providing. Now, our experience is you may take all of our recommendations or just some may not be applicable. Now, as we break into the various process groups and specific processes, so you can see we have our groups. I'm just going to go into our process design and just highlight a couple of areas for you. We document which systems are going to require integration and why, and what areas that is. We also look at your current cycle costs to get an idea around what this particular process is costing you. That can be something that we can measure as well when we look at the opportunity for automation or the opportunity for improvement, the OFIs. We want to make sure that we have a solid idea of what the return on investment is going to be for the rollout. Each one of these highlights are key areas and experiences that you'll go through with Atlantis. When we look at collaboration practices, we leverage something called Figma to build out our wireframes so that we have a clear idea and users have a clear idea of what's going to be implemented, what they can expect to see as they go through that experience. We are big believers in wireframe and high-res instances to share with stakeholders, to share with users, to collect feedback before we actually do that full build out. It's much easier to go through a wireframe and a click-through process than to build the app and then find out at the final stages of the app that your users aren't going to be satisfied with the utilization of that. This also fosters that idea of collaboration and plants the seeds pre-implementation to increase probability of adoption.